G'day guys, and welcome to a review of Randwick for the 24th of June. Also throw a Tatsiara roundup in the back end of it. Randwick 7 metre rail Saturday. It was definitely an advantage to be up there on the speed. There were obviously a few races run at slow tempos, which made it impossible to run on, but there was a few fast ones at the end of the day too that really, it was still tough to make much ground. So definitely convinced that it was tough to run on there. Inside was okay. I think hard fence is maybe not ideal, but anywhere up on the pace, and definitely wanted to be up there turning for home to give yourself the best chance. First race of the day for the 2-year-olds, and change of tactics here from Lipizan up in distance proved to be a positive and winning one. Good effort from the apprentice to settle the horse. Definitely, any no dig at all there. Just let the horse come out under its own steam, and could have easily got it over racing, as they're not running along at all here. It was just a very average tempo, a slow tempo in fact, and the time overall wasn't great. But there was a couple of funny rides, I thought, here. I thought it was a strange option not to lead from Music Edition going 1,000 to 12. I understand they were probably trying to ride it a bit quiet, but it did look like a pace horse last start, and you could kind of see where this horse ends up after choosing not to kick up and lead. It's dragged back out of the race by the other runners crossing, and now is forced to come 3 wide early and has to work for basically the whole race, where it could have been leading and running along at a slower tempo. The leader gets a fairly soft time of it, and Lipizan gets off its back. The 3 Godolphin horses struggle from back in the field, but Lipizan's pretty dominant late. Hard fit horse. 1200 was the query. Perfect little ride in behind the speed and hit the front early and drawn away for a solid win. So not much more to it than that. I think what you see is what you get with Last Starfighter. He's an honest horse, but no world beater. And we're talking about Music Edition and Star Galaxy fighting out third. I thought Star Galaxy was okay coming up to 1200 metres and jumping in class, but I thought Music Edition was much better, and possibly back to something like 1100 next start and leading could be definitely hard to beat even in this sort of grade. I thought it ran quite well here and should have finished much closer. The ride just sort of was a bit indecisive and cost it any chance. We should have run a clear second. There's no doubt about that. But all honours to the winner. In still not a great race, but not disgraceful by the same token, so it can go on. Second race, and an even tempo and good time here. Another good ride from Rachel King on Memes. Just controlled the tempo throughout, really took the sting out of the horses back in the pack. They sort of closed without ever having their chance, and took enough speed out of the runners like Pharaoh and Rachel, who had to work a little bit up on a solid tempo at first up, and that just put them out of the race. Janot got caught wide and was a bit of a forgive. Suspenders every chance. In Cadogan, I didn't mind late, so having a quick look at the tape of this race. Another race where she hasn't bustled Memes out of the race, out of the gates. Just let it find its own tempo. They don't look like they're running along, but they do run along at even sections, and that just takes enough out of these 2 horses doing the chasing. The 2 closers down the outside, Aquatic and Ghostly, are obviously racing quite well, but need things to go their way to win. And I didn't mind the run of Cadogan back here on the fence, just poking along late up the inside. Don't think he's really a wet tracker, and once he sort of gets back on top of the ground, he could probably improve his form rather rapidly, especially if he finds run-on conditions. But Memes is pretty dominant here, does it quite easily. 1200 probably sees her out, but she's done it well there, and hasn't really had it all. Like, she has had it all her own way. She's definitely bowled along at her own tempo, but it was an even tempo, as long as if she stacked them up and stole the race. Race 3, this is a stacking up and stealing of the race. Yuma Desert have been racing arguably a little bit flat this preparation. Just checking its form. So it had the 4 runs back prior to this. The one over the 1400 last start, it looked a little bit plain there after setting a fast enough tempo. Bit tougher to lead that day than this, and a really good positive ride early from Nick Haywood. Took control of the race, and basically it was over about 600 out. You can see that Test the World sort of was happy to lead, but didn't really mind if something wanted it there. Haywood shown his hand, controlled the tempo, backed it off, and turned it into a sprint home, and really done a good job of it. Not a bad effort from this horse, Stiletto Vixen. I didn't mind it. Heavenly Anna was a bit plain. Labdian's not racing at its best. Loves a Fantasy was a funny run. Looked like it was bolting on the turn and maybe just got completely out sprinted. Maybe needs a bit more speed in the race. Test the World did a decent enough job up on a slow tempo. I hear it goes for a break now. It's done a good job this preparation, there's no doubt about that. Had never found one fast tempo race, so I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a better horse ridden off a fast tempo, so we'll see how it goes. And Ruby Rampart does an honest job against a slow tempo. So the run of the race, possibly from going forward perspective, was Stiletto Vixen, but not really a race that I'm looking to find too much out of. The winners had everything go its way and won well. Good ride, and Stiletto Vixen was the run-on horse that's done a good job. Won't spend too much time on this race. Solid tempo, really very slow time. Not a lot of merit in this race from a times and margins perspective. The winner's just been too fit for them for mine. It's just had some hard racing recently on similar surfaces and just sat up on a well, it's a solid tempo, but only because they really slow down beyond what you would expect. So it's not really a fast tempo. It's just turned out that way because they slow down so much, and nothing really did a lot behind. I can probably find excuses for Balala and Plucky Star back in the field, but Barricade's come from behind them and run past them, even though it was the other hard fit runner in the race. They've run 1-2. Not a lot to be found here. We'll have a quick look. There's not really much to see. If a few of these horses go back to their right grade, I'm convinced they're going better than they are. Just like Balala, just never let down, never travelled. And Plucky Star hit a flat spot and just kept whacking away, so maybe she wants a bit more ground. And it was a decent jump. But Barricade looms up like it's going to do something, and the winner's just far too fit and tough to stop. Coming out of that good Nick Tock race last start. So, not much to be learnt there. Race 5 for the Stayers, a really fast tempo, and they've run time. Collateral was jumping from 19 to 24. A good effort, a really good effort, a really good ride. You'll see that Get on the Grange takes off a bit early and wanting late, and I think if Collateral did the same, it may well have still won, but it would have been a much tougher task. And Ty really looked after the horse here. Did a really good job. Richard of York obviously not finishing the course basically after setting a very fast tempo is a bit of a knock on the race, and even though they run fast time, got to be a little bit careful of the quality of the race. But this horse had enough excuses against to say that it can improve again off this, and it's just absolutely flying. Here we go with Get on the Grange taking off early. Collateral waited that extra few hundred metres and didn't have to do that work there. The sprint's already out of the race. You can see they're slowing down. It's worked into the race cheaply, got off the back of the leaders, and it's fairly dominant late. Again, not a lot to be learned here. Get on the Grange is racing well. Its problem is it's so highly benchmarked that it can't drop back in grade, so there's not much place for him to go. The other place getters have whacked away strongly, but had strong fitness bases, and the winner's just got all the upside on all of them. You know, the Epsom Hill, Northern Journey, Get on the Grange are going to be competitive in something similar if they find it, but you know, I want to be with the winner rather than those horses going forward. Race 6, Another slow tempo sprint home. Time slow, but that's to be expected considering how slow they've gone here. They've gone out ridiculously slow to the 600 and then zipped home. So basically those back in the field had absolutely no chance. I think Marinostro probably went too slow in front for it. I think it was out sprinted as well. Even though it's led the race up in slow tempo, it just can't sprint as fast as the Sound Proposition obviously can. It's been dominant here. It still probably was a little disappointing, if anything, but not completely dismissing it on this run alone. So we'll have a quick look at this race. Marinostro seemed just hacking basically. Sound Proposition looms up. Sultan of Swing doesn't like the wet. It's run a good race and probably suited by a dash home. It does have a nice turn of foot, but just whacks away late on the ground. Leopari whacks away, that's his go, and the rest of them kind of just chase each other. Didn't mind the run of Destiny's Kiss. It's done a good job back in distance. Not suited at all. So again, not a race with too much to be learnt. The winner's obviously pretty smart, coming over from New Zealand first up for Chris Lees, and back to the mile for 2,000 metre cup run. So it's got plenty of upside. The sort of horse you'd say is suited to Chris Lees and can continue on. But a few warning signs in that race with the really slow tempo, and hard to know the truth there, but it was strong through the line, so I'm not too concerned about it. This race is a funny race. Boss Lane been struggling to find top form for quite some time. Lobs behind the leader here and puts away the field. Ins and Out's not racing at his best, and then the two Wouldn't It Be Nice and Mount Nebo, who are pretty much battlers at this level. Tessera and Kadiro don't finish the race off, so I'm really worried about the form from this. Boss Lane looks dominant to the eye, but I'm just concerned that where this form takes him. I think he had a few things in his favour, and the horses chasing him have just had a bit of a bad day at the office. These two back here, and the other two just do what they did. They just whack away with conditions that they kind of like, and they're both fit runners. So not a race I'm trying to spend too much time on. I'm not going to knock Boss Lane, even though it's been pretty dominant, but it's definitely had everything to suit it on Saturday. Race 8, and it's a bit of a funny race this. Pelanthronius has done a really good job. The first four of these clear out: Pelanthronius, Canacci, Level 8, Imperator, Augustus. They do have their chance, obviously, and it is and the rest sort of finished 5 lengths and further astern. Again, not a race that you can learn too much about for mine. Pelanthronius is just racing really well. Clear the beach, got to 1400 really quickly and wasn't suited. Pelanthronius is back here, level 8, cuts through and ends up on his back, and Canacci's run along at a solid tempo in front. Good ride on Canacci. It's just an honest horse. It's ready to probably drop back to midweeks and be competitive. Really competitive. Imperator Augustus just struggles to run past horses. He really needs to lead and dictate to do his best. Level 8 with the blinkers on's done as good a job as he can as well. And the winner's just going a little bit better than them and maybe a little bit more progressive. Winning 3 in a row, I believe that is this preparation. No real excuses for the horses behind. Strange on Metallic Crown, is it? Back here, just kind of never moved on it. Not sure whether it didn't handle the ground or it had an issue or something. I haven't read the steward's report in regards to it, but I'd be catching up with it before it ran again if I was wanting to look at its chances. Lucky Last, fast tempo, or solid tempo, solid time. Salerno was just rock hard fit, had the right run on the back of the leader and did a good job. Proconsul probably was a good thing beaten, much to my dismay personally, and got run off the track a bit by the riderless horse, interfered with a few times. Lion Couchant was wide throughout, but that wasn't a real drama, I don't think, up on a solid tempo, and the horse I thought did do a good job first up was Argent Dior, back on the inside, and he's probably the horse to follow from the race. He took a few runs to get fit last time in, and might not even be next start, but I think he'll pay his way, more than pay his way. He's back here. This is Proconsul who runs second. The winner, Salerno, on here 3 wide, and this is 4 4 wide no cover, Lion Couchant. So they get to the turn, and this riderless horse has already interfered with both these runners. Salerno's had the cold sit on the back of Lion Couchant, and he's just a bit tough for him. He gets probably to the right spot, and the 2 down the outside, you just get balked by that riderless horse. Proconsul did a good job, second up 1200 back to 1000. And what I didn't mind about Argent Dior is he's come from last there, he's made quick ground, and he's clearly knocked up here after putting a margin on a few horses, and they've sort of fought back to get within whatever of him. So he's done a good job over an unsuitable trip on unsuitable ground, probably with the fitness, more fitness to come. So that's Randwick kind of wrapped up there. Quickly just saying in that race, I do think Proconsul's racing well. He obviously suited to these tracks. He did have conditions to suit on Saturday, and he's going to be hard to catch, like a lot of these runners will be. I think Argent Dior is really the one that is progressive out of the race, and definitely the horse to follow. Quick look at the Group 1 in Brisbane. I've obviously got an interest in looking after Josh Parr, the favourite, and I just wanted to go through the race because there's been so much talk about it and give my opinion, whether people see it as biased or not. Obviously what happened at the start dictated a lot to the race, but they've run along at okay sections. The horses that sat up there were finished out of the race. They did go along a little bit early, then pull up, which brought the others into the race. The ones that are a little bit vulnerable have dropped out, and then the leaders kicked away, who has had a nice enough run at a solid even tempo, and he's done a good job to put them to the sword on a suitable track. What I kind of wanted to point out was, you'll see that time's straight out the back last, and in this position you either hunt and go forward and who knows what happens, or you take your time, wait to see how the race unfolds a little bit, and then make a decision. That's kind of what's happened with the favourite for mine. He's made that decision just to be patient and hope that they either run along, or he can ride it for luck if they run along. But then they've pulled up. You can see that all of the margins close and other horses are over racing. This is where the pace came right out of the race. He's worked into the race cheaply at this point. He's had no favours with no cart into the race at any stage, which is very hard to control. But he's made a decision at the right time, I feel, to make that ground as quickly as possible. It's obviously not ideal and very hard to sit wide and run on at Doomben. And then you've had the winner and the second horse with soft runs much closer to the fence. She's not a horse that's known for it to maintain a dynamic sprint, so she's done an enormous effort, and clearly looks a good thing beaten if she had have jumped cleanly in her time and ended up outside the leader or leading, which was obviously the original plan. But she's done an enormous job against a lot of things going wrong. Basically everything did go wrong that could go wrong, and she had an impossible task from where she was, basically 100 metres after the race. The winner's a good horse, but it's had a lot in its favour, and the second horse, probably a little bit unlucky not to finish a touch closer as well, was held up, and if they go along a bit quicker, probably wins the race. So it's an honest character, prompt response, and probably paraded with a little bit of improvement. So it's a horse that can continue to improve during his spring preparation or something similar. She's just a really good, honest horse. But the winner's probably the one that was a little bit lucky. Danish Twish was obviously knocked out of the race there as well, and a complete forgive, but hard to make many excuses for the rest of the beaten runners. In her time was clearly the horse that probably should have won the race. Prompt response was a little bit unlucky as well, and the winner's been well handled by McAvoy, and a few things against other runners have worked in its favour. So that's it for Group 1 racing for the season, and that's it for my review for Saturday Randwick and the Tatsiara. Thanks guys.